This week, I've got We Live in Time, which is a new film with Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. And I saw this one at the Toronto International Film Festival. And I always just have to caveat when I see something in a blur of a bunch of films at a film festival like that, because something has to be really stand out for me to be like, ah, yes, this was super memorable. We Live in Time was solid. I think if you've seen the trailer for it, you generally know what the premise is going to be. I am not going to give it away in case you were unaware, but the broader premise that is not spoilery at all is, it follows the relationship between Florence Pugh's character and Andrew Garfield's character through three different eras in their relationship together. It's told in a nonlinear fashion, so you're kind of popping back and forth between the three different time eras. And, I think some people will butt up against this and not love it. I thought it was fine. I was trying to figure out, like, could you have told this story in a linear fashion? And I think you could, but I think what the, pinging back and forth does is it's trying to, I don't know if it's trying to create a sense of mystery in something that is pretty obvious, or it's trying to, kind of meter out the peaks and valleys of their relationship. I think the two of them are lovely together. I think they're wonderful actors. I think they have a lovely chemistry. There are times in my notes I was like, oh, get someone who looks at you like, they are looking at each other. It's just really nice and beautiful. I think the challenge with it is that the emotions I felt through the movie were not necessarily earned by the performances or the script, but just by kind of the events that it was touching on, sad emotional events that I think a lot of people can relate to and have, maybe experienced in real life or have family who have done that. And so, I am reticent to call it emotionally manipulative, but I do think it is overly reliant on some of the things that we feel as people. Versus being able to conjure a sense of emotion from us. I'm hoping that makes sense. I'm trying to dance around some of the things in it because I don't want to spoil it, but I think the sweet moments together are stronger than the sad ones. And that's not to say they're not capable of performing the sad ones. It's just like, oh, okay, I know where this is going, and I know I'm gonna be sad no matter what. Like, it would have been really hard to mess up. I guess that is what the core of what I'm trying to say is. This is also it's a weird movie to recommend because, like, and again, you can get this sense from the trailers, etc. There will be some melancholy in it, and so you're like, hey, do you want to go be depressed? Because, like, there's no other. It's not necessarily all depressing, but you're gonna be in for a ride on that front, and so it's like if you are feeling emotionally interested in an emotional purge, if you want to cry, if you want to whatever, and you don't mind that this is not necessarily the most innovative film of all time, and no, telling it in a non-linear fashion does not make you like particularly innovative. If you do a good job, okay, great. But anyway, if that is what you are looking for, I think this movie very much will fulfill that. If you are not looking for that, or you don't have the emotional bandwidth right now, and you just like this is not the time to see it for you. If you are a big fan of either of these actors, or particularly both of these actors, great performances. Very strong. I think they both together and individually have great moments in this, and so that can be worth seeing as kind of like a scene study, if you will. But again, it was a good, solid movie, but I wasn't like, I can't wait to tell everybody about what Live in Time. I had so much fun when the internet got a hold of the poster for this movie has a ridiculous carousel horse in it. It just has like the derpiest look, and the internet glommed onto it and made a bunch of memes. And then when like the carousel horse comes up, and you're like, oh, it's the horse. Oh, it's not as exciting. So I think that if that's how you were introduced to this movie, temper your expectations. Again, there's peaks and valleys because it is a relationship, but it does not dwell as much in the joyous moments as I wish it had. And we're leaning on some of the more inherently dramatic situations in order to make the audience feel. And that's not always my favorite, but I think, there's enough of a balance to it. It's beautifully shot, all that type of stuff. The music is nice. So I'm going to give this a 3.8 out of 5. But if you are, and I've given my emotional warning, if you are not in the mood for this, if this doesn't appeal to you, this is not going to be one where I'm like, run out and see it in spite of your natural instincts on it. If you were already drawn to it, though, I do think it's good. It's not amazing, great, like mind blowing, but it is really solid.